Hello Internet, I am Xenoun and this is back in Firefall. I'm here with Blout this time.
Hello.
Is this the first time I've been recording with you? I think it is.
In this game, yeah.
In this game, yep. So this time I'm going to talk a bit about the story. Blout's here to ask questions and hopefully improve the overall quality of the video. Although it is Blout, so he'll probably detract from it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And yeah, basically the story kind of leads into why these guys are here. They're called the Chosen. We're about to come and start fighting them. And see, there's a juggernaut there. Those are big nasty people. But yeah, while we're fighting them and killing stuff, I'll explain the story. He's down. And yeah, it kind of tells you why they're here and what they're doing. Although, not really. You'll see why that makes sense later.
Okay.
Oh, this thing's locked for 3 minutes or something. SMG!
I'm playing a healer, by the way. Changed from my other
You're a
character.
healer?
In case anybody was wondering.
Oh, I'm down. Ow.
Oh, so much for the heal.
He shot me like point blank. Yeah, your healing sucks, Blout. 6 seconds. No, I'm gone. Oh, I
And
suppose now's a good time to start the story. We'll probably be dying a fair bit against these guys. They are pretty tough, especially when you get shot point blank by a juggernaut. But yeah, the story starts. Basically, society has reached a golden age. There's, I think, almost total world peace. There's still a little bit of fighting in some parts, but there is a prevalent sport, and it's to do with these things called battle frames, like the one I'm using now, basically. And they basically have little non-lethal duels, and it's just like a sport competition between individuals and teams, I think. So yeah, that's how it starts. And then there's this meteorite that they know about. It's heading towards Earth. That basically the scientists, like, judging from its path, they know it's going to pass by Earth. It's no big deal. There are problems with it. Then something happens, and it reaches near the kind of gravitational field. I think it was either of the moon or Earth itself. Pretty sure it was the moon. And it turns it just enough. They can't explain why it happened. But it turns when they weren't expecting it to, and it sends it into not a direct collision with Earth, but it puts it basically in a decaying orbit around Earth instead. You're listening? You're not saying anything?
Yes, I'm sorry. A decaying orbit, meteor coming, pulled by moon. Got it.
So instead of just hitting Earth and exploding as, you know, one big huge bang, it instead, in its decaying orbit, starts breaking off, and pieces fall and land across the Earth all over the place, and they dubbed this the Firefall. Because if you can imagine pieces of meteor breaking off, streaking through the sky, burning up, looks like a whole bunch of fireballs, and they're falling, so they called it the Firefall. Makes sense, right? Yep. From that, it basically caused a huge amount of damage across the planet, and it sent basically all the global governments into complete chaos. So in the US, for example, it was complete anarchy. They went into like another civil war, completely broke apart all their governments and everything. They just went completely horribly, terribly wrong, as you'd expect. It's US. I'm glad it lives there.
Thanks.
Similar things happened in Europe, but there was some kind of dude that was in power and decided to go invade other countries before it happened to Europe as well, because they saw it happen in the US. They could predict where it was going. So that's just kind of a background story they give, saying what's happening around the planet. Oh, this guy, he's bad. Then from that, the people continue on, you know, things get destabilized, and eventually the planet ends up going into basically a 9-year winter, because there's constant meteors just hitting the planet, and they're constantly sending up debris and dust, and it ends up, you know, blocking out enough of the sun that it cools the planet down, but only for 9 years. I'm not sure why. They never really explained how the winter ended.
Okay.
But during this time, because they'd reached a golden age, they were heavily reliant upon solar power. So with all the dust and debris floating around, basically all the power sources on the planet went down.
Come stand over here.
I'm getting ammo down the bottom. Do you
Okay.
mean the dancing tiki thing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I'm sorry. It's just hilarious to watch.
Yeah, I've done it before.
Uh,
So yeah, all the power sources are down, and it's a 9-year winter. So people aren't really living in good conditions. They're not got medicine. You know, normal apocalyptic scenario when society's falling apart.
mhm.
Now, in some parts of the world, like in Australia, for example, an energy company started up, and they worked to keep the coal power plants. They started them up and worked to keep them running. In Japan, they had one of the largest meteorites hit, and there was some billionaire that was just decided to hire a whole bunch of people to rebuild Tokyo, and they called it New Tokyo. I guess we should head north.
Okay.
Up there. That'll do. You see that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so that guy's rebuilding Tokyo, and essentially he's providing jobs for a whole bunch of people that otherwise wouldn't be able to give food to their family, and they'd end up starving to death. And also providing a city along with it, so people can eventually live there. While doing this though, him and his company, I think some of his scientists, he had them looking at the meteor too. And they discovered this thing in the meteor called crystite. So if you've been watching the other videos, you know that's the currency in this game now.
Mhm.
But basically from the crystite, I'm half talking to you, half talking to the viewers. This is weird.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, basically from the crystite, they then discovered a way to generate power, and it doesn't react to gravity the same way as other matter, and it kind of breaks a whole bunch of laws of physics. And that's essentially why the meteor turned towards Earth and was affected by the gravity of the moon, I'm pretty sure, and came here in the first place. You had a question?
No, I had some connection problems right now.
And so that was one thing. So they figured out that's why this happened to begin with, but also how to refine it and generate power. So from that, the company that was in Australia, already working on energy, I forget the name of it, but they renamed themselves to the Omnidyne M Corporation. And if you have a look at most of the weapons and technology in this game, it's stamped Omnidyne. So nice Australian corporation there for you, Blout.
Mhm. That's fictional. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, but the writers of this game know that Australia is so kick-ass. Well, the
they're probably
US
Australian, anyway.
crumbles and burns. Australia starts to get itself together before anyone
Nobody
else.
wants to go down there. It's a freaking desert.
It's not a
Anyways,
desert. How's it a desert? There's people here.
it's a giant desert thing.
In the areas where no one lives, yeah. But yeah, from
100%
that,
true.
the world started regaining momentum, getting back on its feet with this new power source, and people started to improve their way of life. But the only source of crystite was all the meteorite impacts, so it's a finite resource. I think this pod is not here, it's bugged. That's nice. You can kill this thing instead. Oh yeah, so it's a finite resource. They've got no way to replenish it, and they're using crystite in increasing amounts as more and more countries start being able to refine and produce energy from it. So from that, the Omnidyne Corporation started sending out probes. They had some scientists analyze the path of the meteor to find out where it came from, now that they know how it's affected by gravity. And they traced it back to a solar system where they thought it had originated, and sent out a probe. It's an incursion up there. I think we'll stay clear of that for now. Incursions are big, huge infestations of these guys, so that's why we're steering clear for now. Oh, there's some here though. Okay. So from that probe, they discovered there was a planet similar to Earth, and it was basically loaded with crystite. Lots and lots and lots of it. Oh no, it wasn't the planet itself. It's the meteors orbiting the planet. So it had some kind of meteor belt like Saturn does, orbiting it, and they decided to basically figure out some way to extract it from those meteorites. But first there was the problem of getting there, because it was something like, I think it's 8 light years away. I was reading back through it again, I couldn't find the exact distance. Yeah, basically it's a huge distance away, and they built 3 colony ships, and the Omidine Corporation got a whole bunch of governments in the world to invest in it, so it kind of forged a bit of a peace between all the countries, because they were all rallying around one thing, trying to...
Something's shooting at you.
Where?
There's a dude down here.
Okay, let's go kill him. But yeah, they were all rallying around this, trying to get more resources for the planet so they could all have continued electricity use. And yeah, so from that they developed 3 colony ships, and the idea was that they would go and colonize this planet they're calling Alpha Prime, and bring back Crystite for everyone.
Like shooting a fat kid in a barrel.
But there was the huge issue of how slow they traveled, so it ended up being like an 11-year journey between each shipment. So with the 3 ships going at, like equidistant time intervals spread out to, give shipments as often as possible, there was 11 years before like one to the next arrived. So as one got here, one would be leaving at the other end, and there'd be another one somewhere in the middle. Yeah, so basically from that the story then goes and focuses on one person, doctorate, studying Crystite, and they were looking at the properties of Crystite exhaust, and basically, not in this bit, but there was another bit that explains Crystite exhaust. Where are we? Okay, we gotta go around there. How do we get there? Yeah, I have to go all the way around. Okay. So...
You gotta go around?
Yeah. One way or the other. Yeah, so there was a doctor studying the Crystite exhaust. And in another bit it mentioned that the exhaust is considered like a negative mass or something. I'm not entirely sure what they mean by that, because you can't have negative mass. But they were trying to equate Crystite to working similar to a battery with potential energy, so I don't know. Some kind of person who doesn't understand physics was writing it. Although they said Crystite breaks laws of physics, so yeah, maybe. But yeah, the doctor discovered that the exhaust, when they use the Crystite, there's a little exhaust that is able to absorb microscopic levels of carbon. And she called this process melting. So Blau would probably realise this. There's melting tornadoes that occur from time to time, and you can go and have a look, and there's weird crap going on, bugs flying everywhere. And yeah, I still don't really know what those are about, because it doesn't explain it at the end, but I've got a sneeze. I'll make sure to cut that, but Blau will hear it.
That's part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sneeze at that part.
Sneezing is part of the story, yes. To explain the carbon being absorbed in the melting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a little side story. And then the doctor goes on to work on this... Shoot, go sneeze. Okay.
Really, dude? Really?
Yep. I'm talking about that doctor. She just makes me sneeze. I'm allergic. What can I say? Someone's up there. Okay. Okay, so here we have to basically call down this thing and defend it while it's arriving. And what's shooting at us? The person. And another sneeze. Yeah. Okay. I'll get on with the story time. So after that, the doctor then moved on to studying something that she called arc folding. And basically arc folding is a process or something that you can do. It requires massive amounts of energy and forms little wormholes, so you can transport stuff at speeds faster than light. And she managed to develop it far enough that it was stable, and they teleported something from one place to another place that's in Chicago. I can't remember exactly what the starting place was. I think it was like Cambridge University to Chicago, something like that.
Okay.
And so they did that, and then suddenly everyone's going, wow, we can move faster than light. And there was this old idea to have a huge ship that would be able to police Alpha Prime, because there's fears that that colony would eventually try and throw off the shackles of people on Earth and stop sending them crystite that they need to survive. This is very boring here. We're just staring at this point.
They didn't drop today.
Yeah, they're
for
meant
some
to
reason.
have drop pods coming in. Yeah, so there's arc folding, and it basically
Here they come.
there's a word for this. But it basically brought up the whole idea of having this massive ship, and also it would allow them to
Whoa!
transport the material much faster than was currently being done by the 3 colony ships that were then turned into freight ships. And so along with this, the arc light was developed. So it's a massive ship, larger than all 3 of the original colony ships combined, and they installed the new arc light technology. And now, since this ship was so massive, it needed huge amounts of energy to be able to develop, generate a wormhole big enough to transport it. And so because of this, they had, you know, huge amounts of storage space for crystite just to fuel and transport the thing. And yeah, it was completely massive, the biggest use of anything in crystite to date. And when this thing was fired up, the ship just vanished. No one knows what happened to it. But when that happened, something also came back. So the ship's gone. I think it vanished. It might have exploded. I can't remember. And I can't find the bit where I read this because it's not in the proper storyline. They've got it kind of mixed up in bits and pieces on their website. It's weird. Yeah, the ship vanished and something came back. So that's where the storyline ends. And they've just kind of left it. But I know from then there was something called the melding which happened. And it transformed the planet into what it is today. And basically, remember how I said... My sound's gone. Weird. Remember how I said melding was the exhaust from using crystite?
Mm-hmm.
So basically when the arc light was fired up, the exhaust would have been a massive amount. Much more than anything you've been seeing to date. So I'm guessing that the exhaust, since it absorbs carbon, did something weird with the planet, because the arc light was, you know, in orbit around Earth. It did something weird and it caused creatures to mutate, and something else came down, and that something else I'm pretty sure is the Chosen. So there was something I read that referred to them as creatures as well, but they seem to be humanoid and they speak, so don't really know what the Chosen are. But they are kind of... I'm assuming they're going to develop that story more, because this is only beta, so they probably haven't finished writing it. And at the moment they're working on PvE content, and then they're moving on to work on the Chosen War, so there'll be more about it coming up.
That's cool.
But for now, that's pretty much all we know. And we are currently in Brazil, which I think was... There was something that hit here. Again, I can't find that source where I found stuff that kind of linked in past the official story. They had another section somewhere where they talked about stuff. But yeah, that's basically where this is now. We're fighting the Chosen, and there's melding occurring on the planet every now and then, just as a reaction to the crystite being used in such large quantities to transport a huge ship. So yeah, 2 huge calamities. One of the ships was called the Aegis, and there was a quest line where an NPC mentions that they want to get out of here. Once the Aegis arrives, they're going to take their first ticket on board and obviously go to Alpha Prime, where they figure it's better than here. But yeah, so 2 calamities. One was caused by the meteorite, and then the second was caused by humans trying to do something they probably shouldn't have been. As always, that's us.
Sounds right.
Mhm. So they recovered from it, and then they caused another huge calamity, wiped out cities and everything. But yeah, there'll be more on that to come, but that's pretty much the start of how everything occurred here and where it's going.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I figured I'd explain it because when I start playing a game I like to, especially a new MMO like this, I like to see where they're going with the story and find out what's going on with the planet because it helps you understand the game and why you're doing things.
Yeah, I never do that, so.
Well, I did it for you. So what do you think?
Yeah. It's kind of cool. I like the idea of the ship getting lost and stuff, and then stuff coming back.
Yeah, so the ship might have actually successfully transported. I can't remember. I think there might have been an explosion. But yeah, it might have success. I read this like a week ago, and then I've just quickly looked at the main story, and I can't remember where I found the extra bits. But yeah.
They don't have it on their website?
Well, it's on their website somewhere, but it's separate from their main storyline. So I can't remember.
Oh, okay,
I was
so they're
clicking
like...
around after I read the first bit, and I found more information somewhere. But yeah, it's not very well organized. It's still a beta. It's annoying.
That sounds a bit annoying.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Not really. It's well, I mean, like, what can you ask? It's missing parts of the story, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think we can probably take this and then that will be enough. Start hacking this. And being attacked by a bug. Someone else get it. Yeah, essentially the Chosen come and land in drop pods and we have to fight them off. And that's the basis of a lot of the PvE combat at the moment, apart from the mutated bugs that are all over the planet too. You can execute these guys, which is kind of funny.
Yep.
So yeah, they can attack these towers, which is what we're defending now. They can just drop down to drop pods, and when they do that, they'll slowly head towards the tower to take it over. And they can head to the other normal uplink places, which is where we then have to summon down a beacon. I don't know how those are different to these towers exactly, but they're basically slightly different fights. And then there's massive, what they call chosen incursions, where there's basically this huge kind of, I think it's called a waygate. Can you remember?
No.
Yeah. There's just this huge thing that's like shielded and it's got turrets all around it, and you have to take the turrets out. Then the shield goes down, and
oh, that's the incursion.
Yeah, that's the incursion. But there's a thing like the actual structure in the middle is got a name.
Oh, I don't know the name of that structure. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you have to take out all of them, and you have to kill the guys as they're respawning and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you control a tower, your like friendly NPCs spawn here. When the Chosen control it, their Chosen NPCs spawn here, and then they can move out and take other places. Yeah, basically try to take over this whole place here, and we're trying to keep them from doing it. There goes a melting tornado over there. That Chosen incursion's gone now, so I can't show you that.
I'm going to this thump dump.
Thump dump? Okay, we'll head over there. I think thump dumps... Oh, that's this. Okay, other direction. Yeah, that's essentially the story, how it's going, kind of where they're going with it, and where we're at. So, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Bye bye.